The advertising for this evening was funding of Parks Board, community centers. So I thought I'd make some comments on funding. And one of the first suggestions is that a role for Parks Board commissioners, rather than asking council for more money, would be to spend some time watching and analyzing how staff are spending the money they have now. Because we have some tremendous examples. Jesse gave some, and I'll give you a couple of others of what's going on the financial side. First of all, community centers are paying approximately to over 70% of operating costs of their community centers. Carrisdale, where I come from, happens to be paying well over 70% of operating costs. And by doing that, we were able to avoid the staff cuts that occurred to other centers last fall. But if you look at the other end of the spectrum, the Parks Board has said there are have-not and have centers. Well, one of the have centers, we think, is Cole Harbour West End. And when you look at the funding which is provided by Parks Board to support that center, it is 60+%. In other words, West End, Cole Harbour, is not paying 50%, 60%, 70% of their operating costs. They're paying about 40% of their operating costs. And there are centers that Parks Board are claiming as have-not centers on the east side, which are receiving much less support. So, commissioners, go back and look what your staff are doing. Give you another example. In 2010, Ainsley mentioned that the city staff came to the community centers and asked for some assistance to save some jobs. And the community centers all came forward under contract, one-year contract, terminating December 31, 2010, and came up with $650,000. I know our center came up with some $60,000 to relieve a fee that was owed to the centers so that the Parks Board could keep those funds. Well, Parks Board decided that that contract didn't end at December 31, 2010. It continued to 2011 and 2012. And up to last week, we got a bill from Mr. Bromley for all that outstanding money that we don't owe them. Parks Board is continuing to elicit funds from centers for money that centers do not owe. At the same time that we received that bill, we also received a check from the city to cover our registration fees, which are collected by the online registration service. The check was for $132,000. It was received the day that the letter came from our lawyer demanding payment of registration fees that have been held for upwards of 3 months. And I think Carrisdale is not the only center that has been subject to that kind of financial management on behalf of Parks Board staff. We actually think, and I know there are other centers, that have had to use the services of a lawyer to be paid their share of the registration fees, which are duly owing to the community centers. There is an effort by Parks Board staff to choke the centers into submission. And I will repeat what I said when I started. There is money available. The commissioners can go look and see how staff are spending that money and not addressing the needs of the neglected centers. And there are also strategies being used by Parks Board staff which are totally unacceptable to the communities that they're dealing with. And Parks Board commissioners should be looking at how those strategies are being implemented and take steps to correct the activities of staff at this time.